Replacing an assembly item in the item library. In this example, we've already taken off a 2x4 LED lay-in, as shown in the takeoff window. We can see the items that are included with this assembly below it, with each line item marked by yellow squares. This assembly looks great, but let's say that we want to change the box on line 9 to a 2 1/8 inch box instead. Normally, we might think to right-click on the line item and use the Replace feature, but in this case, we'll learn how to change the item in a more permanent way so that it always displays as a 2 1/8 inch box. To do that, let's click the Maintenance option from the left sidebar, and then click Item Libraries. From the Item Libraries screen, we'll click the Library Toolbar's drop-down menu to select the library we wish to work in. Then we'll select the appropriate library catalog. We'll look at the T-bar bar joist with 3/4 EMT. Okay. Now, if we look back at the toolbar, there are two tabs, Item Libraries and Assembly List. If we click Assembly List, it will show all the available assemblies that Conest has already built for IntelliBid. Let's take a look at the items included in the 2x4 assembly by clicking the plus symbol to the left of the line item. There we see the 1.5 deep box. To change that box to a 2 1/8 inch assembly, we'll right-click the line item and select Jump to Item. IntelliBid locates the item for me, shown in the database module on the right. Since everything in the database is selectable by size, we can simply scroll down the item database list until we find the right size box that we want to use. In this case, it is this 2 1/8 inch box. Now that we've located the right box, we need to get it over into the assembly. We will do this by right-clicking the box and then clicking Insert as Component. Now that 2 1/8 inch box is over in the assembly list. However, before I get rid of the 1.5 inch box, I want to make sure my new box will calculate in the same way that the original box did by adjusting the formula. The original box has a formula of 1020, so I'm just going to click to select the new box's line item and make it use formula 1020 as well. Same process here in this column. This box uses formula 162, so we'll click on the new box and make that one use formula 162 as well. Great! Now we're all set with that. Now, because we know that all these assemblies have the same 1.5 inch deep box, we can quickly change them all to 2 1/8 inch at one time. On the new box, we right-click and select Set as Replace. Nothing will happen, but that's expected. That just designates the new box as the item that will replace the original item. Next, we right-click on the original box and we'll select Set as Find Item. The Assembly Item Replace window appears. At the top of the window, it indicates that every 1.5 inch box found by IntelliBid will be replaced with a 2 1/8 inch box. IntelliBid assumes we want to replace it, as indicated under the Perform section, and it assumes we want to do it in the entire assembly list so that it will replace every instance of the 1.5 inch box. We will accept all the default settings and click Replace. IntelliBid quickly replaces the boxes for 35 assemblies. We then click OK to finish this step. Since IntelliBid did what we wanted it to do, we now have two 2 1/8 inch boxes listed. We then simply right-click on one of them, and then click Delete to remove the duplicate. Let's quickly check to make sure it did what we wanted it to do. Let's look at the 2x2 box. If we click on the plus symbol, we can see that the box is changed as expected here too. IntelliBid should have also changed all the boxes across all of our assemblies to a 2 1/8 deep box. Now let's try one more example in this assembly. We'll notice that this assembly has yellow wire nut. Well, what if we want the yellow wire nuts to be tan? Let's go through the same process as before. Right-click on the yellow wire nut line item, and then select Jump to Item. Then if we look to the right in the Item Database module, it locates and displays the yellow wire nut. Then we can see that the tan option is shown right below it. To get the tan wire nut over in the assembly list, we simply click the line item in the Item Database module, and then click the Insert as Component button. Now we can see that the tan wire nut has been added to the assembly list. Now we'll just make sure the formulas and multipliers all line up with each other. If they don't, We can make them match by entering our formula information. Now, since we no longer want to use the yellow wire nut, we'll replace every instance of them with the tan version. Again, we'll do that by first clicking and highlighting the new tan nut line item. We will right-click the line item and then select the Set as Replace option. Nothing will happen, but that's expected, as before. Next, we right-click on the original yellow wire nut line item and then select Set as Find Item. The Assembly Item Replace window appears. We can see that this will change all instances of the yellow wire nut to the tan wire nut. For the options, we want to keep Replace selected. We want it to happen in the entire assembly list, so we'll keep the assembly list option selected too. Then we click the Replace button to wrap up. A prompt then appears, confirming that 63 items were replaced. Great! We can then click OK to close the prompt. Now we end up with a duplicate tan wire nut line item, which we can delete as we did earlier. That covers how to replace an assembly item in the item library. Thanks for watching this Conest tip video. Like this video and subscribe to our channel to get more tips and to keep up to date with Conest software systems.